Welcome to my weekly review. Today is Saturday, December 21, and last week was a very interesting week. As you can see here on this is a daily chart of the Nasdaq, and you can see that, the big break in the middle of the week after the interest rate cuts and Powell speaking foul about some of the I don't know. He just got a little political, and it was unfortunate, but it was a nice little shakeout. Friday we had this reversal, so a gap down on Friday. Here's the gap down on Friday down to 19,168. That was about a half hour into the session. And then we had some buyers come in and then sold off into the close, which, I mentioned, it was political and what Powell had to say about, its uncertainty around tariffs. He didn't need to say that. He's a global, uh, he's looked up to globally. I mean, all the, institutions listen to every word and parse every word he says. So he knows what he's doing when he says that. And well, I shouldn't say it's unfortunate. It caused a nice shakeout below the 21. And I like to keep things real simple. And that when the market, the index, the Nasdaq specifically is below the 21, I'm more cautious, way more cautious. And after you have this break here of 716 points at 3.56% on Wednesday, I expect a rally to get at least half of that back, maybe a 350 point day. And we didn't get it. The next day it was down. It tried to rally and then closed down 20 points. So, if it can't get back through the 21, it looks like it was rejected here at the 21 on Thursday. That makes me even more bearish. And then we gap down on Friday and perhaps, capitulation selling as we saw four distribution days in eight sessions. There's one, two, three, four, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then, they couldn't get any momentum back to the upside on Thursday. So I'm thinking, man, I'm going to play err on the side of caution and allow the market to prove itself. And I don't think it did here on Friday. What it did is it made this low here, like I said, of 19,168. So below that, I'm just keeping it at the 21. So on Friday, it closed a tick above the 21. And so, as long as it's above the 21, I'm more bullish. Below the 21, I'm more bearish. That couldn't be more easier and simple than that. Now, I did mention politics and that the Congress has voted to keep the government open. I guess that's the least of their job duties that they could perform is to keep the government open. And I think that was holding the indexes back last week. Let's be honest. I mean, if government shuts down, there's a lot of employees out of work. You got parks closing. I don't even want to get into it. It's silly that we have to do this all the darn time. But anyway, I think that resolution on Friday that Congress voted for will help boost rally on Monday. I think it would. I would think it would. So we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of political crap going on right now, and it's unfortunate. But that was a part of the cause for, the sell-off. And if you're just looking at the chart, you don't know anything about interest rates or Powell or politics. You're just looking like, hey, that's a pretty nasty break. It closed below the 21, got rejected at the 21 on Thursday. That's bearish as all get out. Closed near the lows on Thursday, where the low was at 357 and it closed at 372. So 15 points off the low, not much. And then on Friday, gap down, and then it didn't close near the highs either. So to me, jury's still out. I'm leaning more bullish because it's above the 21, and Congress actually did their damn job. Anyway, enough of that crap. I got to go to the SPY. Oops, excuse me. I got to go to the weekly. It's a weekly review. So I got to go to the weekly chart on the NASDAQ and just show that it was down for the week, 1.76%, 354 points. You can see the big volume here. And of course, the quad witching day on Friday added to it. But if you just look at it objectively, it just pulled back to a moving average and then, found support and bounce. So uptrend still intact. But for, short term, I'm a short term trader. So when it's below the 21, but if you're longer term, you're just saying, hey, we're just riding this out. We're in a nice power trend here. So it just depends on your time frame. I did want to get to the SPY, and I guess I'll start with the weekly SPY. Once again, down more than 2%. So if the SPY is down 2%, you could expect your growth stocks to be down 4, 5, 6% last week. That'd be pretty normal. But for me, I mean, if my stock's below the 21, I'm selling it right now in this market. So they have to be above the moving average as I'm cutting them. So last week was a good week to cut some stocks that were lagging, and I'm going to show you a ton of them here. There's this buy. This one's below the 50 on the daily here and just rallied back up to it at the close. Yeah, closed right at it there. So yeah, I just screen for I just screen for strong stocks. I sometimes I miss it. The market's really lagging. This is the RSP, which is the equal weight ETF, the S&P 500 equal weight. So it weights Apple as equally as it does, some of the lower market cap names. So equal weight, you can see that the breadth is terrible, slicing its moving averages, and if you just screen for leading stocks, you really don't take notice of this because you're just looking for strength. But overall, the market, the breadth is pretty bad if you're into that kind of thing. But eventually, if you hold the strong stocks and the rest of the stocks are selling off and the groups are selling off, they're going to get yours too. So you have to be mindful of that. The Dow Jones Industrial Average last week snapped a 10-day losing streak. It hit that 45,000 and then was rejected like Mutombo there. And a Thursday, had a 15-point day. It snapped it. Then on Friday, rallied back up, 500 points or 1.18% for the Dow Jones. So that's trying to recover. And then the IWM, well below its 50 as well. It looked like it was going to make a trip down to the 200, but has that low from 218 on Friday. So that would be, if it breaks below that, then you've got, got to be bearish. If it trades above the 224, yeah, and then 66, and you got to be more bullish. So anyway, that candle on Friday was important as we had like I mentioned, the quad witching, which increased the volume. But I'm just interested in stocks and not really all these indexes. And like I say, I just look for leading stocks and leading groups and strong stocks that are making higher highs. And this is a Broadcom, which gapped out of a base on earnings and then made that high of 251 on the 16th, which was Monday, and then sold off those 3 days. This is the Powell day here, where a lot of stocks got hit. It was down nearly 7%, and then made that low Thursday, and then so that would be my low that I'd be watching here of 217.58, and then on Friday had a poor close. There's a lot of rebalancing, a lot of shenanigans here on these quad witching days. So I'm not going to read too much into this, but you can see just at the end, the last 15 minutes, this thing tanked. Going to watch it on Monday. Anyway, Broadcom, one of the leaders here. Apple, another one, the largest stock in the market right now, just pulled back to its 10. This looks fantastic. On Friday, 95% closing range. We'll take a look and see how this one closed on Friday. Yeah, nice buying into the close. That looks good for Apple. I just got an Apple iPhone, man. It was a pain too, but I digress. Anyway, Tesla, another strong stock in the market. How do I know it's strong? Well, it's closed above its 10 EMA, right? So after that shakeout, the Powell shakeout, this one survived pretty well. Just pulled back to its 10, strong stock. Once again, though, like Broadcom, the last, I don't know, 15 minutes, it sold off into the close. We'll see what happens on Monday. Like I say, a lot of shenanigans around that, the options expiration, the third Friday in the last quarter of the year. So we'll see what happens next week. All right. I got to go to I'm doing Batman here, so I got to go to Microsoft. Microsoft, another one of these Nasdaq 100 big names with a big market cap, 3.2 trillion. Slices 21 on Friday, and then tried to recapture it here, and it closed just a tick below it. See the action here. Yeah, there's your gap down. And some buyers came in, and then the close, like I said, I wouldn't read too much into this Friday close because of the the rebalancing. All right, the other one is Meta Platforms, another strong stock. I like the fact that it came back to its buy point from the breakout here, and now it pulled back to its 50. So I think this is a opportunity to get a quality stock at lower prices. That's just my opinion. So yeah, just pull back to its 50. I think Meta is going to go back through 600 real soon. All right, so I got to go to my A stocks, Alphabet and Amazon. Amazon just pulled back to the 21 and then recaptured the 10 by a tick on Friday. So, nothing wrong with that. Look at this big volume. Like I say, this quad witching third Friday here, the last quarter, it's a lot of shenanigans. But anyway, gap down, buyers came in on Friday. Pretty common theme for Friday's action. And then Alphabet. I like this stock a lot, so I like it so much that I bought it last week. Pulled back to its 10 and then bounced off the 10 and closed 1.7% above the 10, 4.5% above this magenta line, the 21. You can see the very distinct cup with handle pattern. It broke out and then pulled back and found support. So I think that's another buy area there for that one, Alphabet. And then the last one is NVIDIA, which is having a hard time below its 50, getting through these moving averages. You can see it just keeps getting rejected every time it trades up to a moving average. It gets this Matombo treatment, pretty consistently. So if it can drive through this 50 there, which was at 139.62 on Friday, I would be a lot more inclined to get heavy into NVIDIA, but it's got some work to do here. 135 on Friday close, not bad. It could do that in a heartbeat. NVIDIA really could move when buyers come in. All right. So I covered the Batman trades, and I just wanted to say that the markets were oversold on Thursday, but they can become more oversold. There's no guarantee that they're going to pop. So like I said, I keep it at the 21. We got lucky on some stocks last week, and I'm going to go through some of those. One is this IPO, ALAB. Just a real clear, distinct pattern here on this one since the breakout. It pulled back here on the IPO break, and it continues to pull back and find support. Very consistent pattern, just continually finding support here at the 10. Once again, last week, even during the Powell shakeout on Wednesday, it just pulled back to its 10 and then popped Thursday. And then Friday had a nice move, 5.5%. Yeah, this is one of my largest holdings, and it's just getting supported at the moving average until that changes, and it could at any moment. Until that changes, I'm going to stick with this one. Um, Very nice, strong stock. Another one in the semiconductor space is MRVL. This one gapped higher in earnings, pulled back, found support, then got whacked on the Powell comments. Everything got whacked down to the 21. Nice shake out there, and then on Thursday when the market was down, this one was up a tick, and then on Friday with a nice 2.5% move. Yeah, it was up 3.64% when the market was down on Thursday. So that was a little foreshadowing of the bounce off the 21 there for Friday's action. So Marvell still looks good to me. ARM, I got to mention ARM because I had this on the ready list, and then Masa Son, he I don't know, he guaranteed $100 billion to the president-elect Trump. He's not going to get that money from underneath his couch. He's going to probably sell some ARM stock. Anyway, I think that's a speculation here. So this thing sold off all week as his SoftBank owns ARM, and probably then maybe he will sell some stock to pay off. Or sometimes these guys talk and they don't follow through. But down 13% last week. That is quite a haircut, and I think it's mostly just on speculation that Masa Son might be selling some of that. Another one, I'm just going to throw Reddit into this mix before I move on. This is an internet stock, the app. This is trading like I thought Twitter would back in the day, but Jack couldn't monetize Twitter. Like, Reddit's doing fantastic. This is 48, 54, 68% accelerating sales growth. It's got earnings next year, so triple digits expected. So I don't know. This stock might be getting ahead of itself, but I like it above 180.74. I think it could zoom to 200 if it does that. Just pulled back to its 10. Once again, this looks like ALAB, where it just continues to find support at the moving averages. Every time it comes back down here, this classic buy the dip, sell the rip type of stock. Anyway, I'm going to move on to some of the software names. AppLovin, one that I get asked a lot of questions about. People are really interested in this stock, and those people want to know, is this a capitulation? Climax top? I don't know. It is until it isn't, right? Uh, you don't ignore these moves. It goes from 90 to 417, and all it did is pull back to its 21. Nice pop on Friday. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they deliver strong earnings and take out that 417. Uh, you know, but I also wouldn't be surprised if, sales started slowing and it pulled back. So anyway, this is one of your AI. There's a lot of themes in the market. AI is certainly one of the larger ones with all the hardware and software, and this is one that's benefiting from that, as is Palantir, another software name. I should go to the weekly chart, seriously. Yeah, up 5.89% while the Nasdaq was down. What did I say? Keep this in mind. The Nasdaq was down 1.78%, and Palantir was up, nearly 6%. So that just tells you the relative strength in this name. And like I said, when I just screen for strong stocks and these stocks keep showing up, I don't really concentrate on the stocks that are lagging. So you got to pay attention to that a little more because eventually they'll come for these. But Palantir, I think, is on its way to 100. Got a break above that 80.91. It got there near there on Friday, so looking for a break above that next week. Maybe some weekly calls that are in action for next week. All right, GoDaddy had a little problem at that 200 level, and then finally broke through, and then pulled back on that whack day Wednesday to 200 again. So what was once resistance here is now becoming support for GoDaddy. I like this thing, above the 21, above the 10, just a tick above the 10. But those are strong stocks in this market, stocks that are trading above their 10. So I like GoDaddy a lot. Another one, I guess I'll do this one here since I'm here. DoorDash really got whacked on Wednesday, came down to its 50. Now it's the first trip to the 50 since the breakout from this cup with handle base. And it's been a long time, right? Since the breakout back in September. Yeah, now pull back to its 50 here and found support and bounce. It was up 2% on Friday. I think I shouldn't say a gift or a gimme. Nothing's a gimme in the market, but I think that's an opportunity there for DoorDash, and it needs to take out that 181.30 on its trip to 200. All right, I'm going to move on from the software name. Or no, I got a couple other tech names. I'm just throwing the tech names in there. This is another one of those AI interconnected plays. Credo had the gap up on earnings, just kind of flagging here. I like this stock, but it's volatile, It's being really volatile, but it's above, the 21. And I believe it closed above the 10 on Friday, a tick above the 10. So, yeah, that nice little flagging pattern after the gap higher. I like this one a lot. That's CRDO. And another one, I just have to include sound. SOU. And you would think an AI, voice platform would be a pretty quality stock. NVIDIA made an investment in this one. This has been a really strong one. Day traders, the degenerate day traders, the degens, love this stock. It popped, closed 98% of its daily range on Friday. Nice 15% move, followed by the 10% loss on Thursday. But on the whack day, it was up 7.5%. So that just tells you the strength of SOUN sound. All right, I'm going to move on because I want to get to some of these retail names. One is Bros, Dutch Bros, acting well, in my opinion, had this breakout and just pulled back last week on the whack day down to the 21 and found support and popped Friday 3.3% and closed 2.3% above the 10. So any stock above the 10, like I say, is strong stock. This is another one in the retail restaurant group. This is Brinker International, Chili's, Maggiano's should do well during the Christmas season. So we'll see what their quarter looks like. But forming this little shelf pattern here, or flat base, if you will, and traded above that old high. So that's another one that I like a lot. Big volume Friday on the quad witching day. All right, I'm going to move on to more retail names. This is more of your home furnishings. This is one of the top groups here. Williams-Sonoma gapped up, just pulled back to its 21 last week when the market sold off. Found support, bounced on Friday. Another one that I like is Walmart. I mean, you can't fault Walmart. Pulled back to its 21 last week. Let's take a look at the weekly. This is a weekly review. Yeah, it's down 2 weeks in a row, 2% last week, which, with the indexes being down, nearly 2%, stands to reason. Down 1.5% the prior week. So this is part of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is down 2.5%. So and the prior week it was down even more than that. No, 1.8%, but still 2 weeks in a row for the Dow down, and Walmart is part of the Dow. So okay, another retail stock that I like is Deckers. Got to go to the weekly here. Even though the index was down, this one was up 2.1% last week. You could see on this weekly chart, nice symmetrical cup with handle pattern, and it's just been up every week since the breakout here. This is 6 weeks in a row, 7 weeks. I ran out of fingers. Anyway, above average volume last week on the move higher. So the high was 214.70. That's an all-time high for this beast, which is Deckers Outdoors, the Hokas, which you'll see in the gym all over the place. People love their Hokas. And the last one, Urban Outfitters, another one that once again has this cup shape pattern, gapped higher right out of the cup. Big volume, right? 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Let's take a look at this on the daily. Yeah, look at that. It just didn't want any part. Here's your handle right here, down here. Whoops. Yep, there's your handle on the cup, and it just blasted higher. Pull back a little bit to its 10 and just making new highs. So yeah, your buy area is really down here as it, traded above its 50. But then you have to buy ahead of earnings, and that's always a crapshoot. But yeah, up 5% last week while the Nasdaq was floundering. So Urban. All right, I'm going to get out of that, and I got to go to the drug stocks because there was news yesterday for Novo Nordisk that their trial met their endpoints. Okay, the trial met the objective. It's just not as good a drug as Eli Lilly or Viking, but they still have other drugs in the market, and there's going to be more trials. I believe this is a severe overreaction, down 21% last week for a name like this. With the CEO said we're going to have 20 to 22% sales growth in 2025. They just closed the Catalent deal. I think this is much like CrowdStrike when Crowd had that breach last summer and sold off down to 200 and just started grinding higher. And I think Novo will do the same. This Catalent deal is a big deal for Novo, and they're going to be a manufacturing powerhouse. So they're going to be making money not only off their drugs, but making drugs for other companies. And I think Catalent will get rolling probably in late 2025 or early 2026 when they really start cooking with that deal. So they're playing the long game here. This is not a day trader stock. This is long-term hold in a portfolio, and I think this right here will turn out to be a gift. What a trade down to $80. It was like 77 when I woke up Friday in pre-market. I'm going, what the hell? What's wrong with people selling a quality name like this on a trial? So yeah, like I say, they have a lot of drugs and a lot of trials. So Lilly was the benefit from this name, but it sold off. You can see how it gapped higher. It was up 811 and then sold off down to 767. That's a hell of a waterfall move for one day's worth. And you can see it on the daily. It closed at 3% of the daily range. So Viking is another one now that They had, Novo had actually, I can't say it's a failed trial because it met the endpoints, just not as good as what Viking has. And Viking was up nearly 2% on Friday. Anyway, that's it for the drug names. Have to go to another theme in the market besides the weight loss drugs, besides AI, hardware, software, the interconnectivity. We have the power plays, right? The the energy that's going to be needed for these data centers for the AI, and this is going to take years. Once again, this is a stock that broke out and pulled back to its 50. I forget the other name that I just mentioned, but it pulled back to its 50. And that I'm not going to say it's a gift or a gimme, but write that name down, GEV. I think that was probably your low there for short term low, and I think I shouldn't predict. I expect it. There's difference between an expectation and a prediction. I'm not predicting anything. The low is 314. I believe that's your low. I expect it to take out the high of 357.09 from November 21 here on Friday. Got up to 345. So we'll look for that in the coming weeks here. Once again, the pullback to the 50 after breaking out of a base in an uptrending market is usually, I'm not going to say a gift, but it's usually an opportunity. I'll look up at that other stock that I mentioned that pulled back to the 50 last week. Another one in this group is Talon, TLN. Pull back to its 50. It needs to giddy up here and find support and bounce here. Another one is CEG, which is just spit the bit, way below its 50. It looks like it wants to make a trip down to 200, or maybe the low was in on Friday at 219. We'll have to wait and see. $8 above that area. And anyway, I mentioned okay, a couple other names I got to get to the this group, Building Heavy Construction, is top performing group in 2024. So, you think one of two things, either they're going to sell it and take profits into the new year because it's had such a great run, or they're not going to sell it and wait till January to sell for tax reasons. But anyway, Quanta Services is one of the top stocks in the top performing group. It's not the top ranked group, but the top performing group. Pulled back to its 50 again, so keeps pulling back to the 50. Not thrilled about that. Road is another one in this group. Pulled back to its 50. It had this ascending base type of pattern, pulled back to its 50 for the first time since its breakout. And then Jacob Solutions, another one in this group, consolidating in a base, but below the 50. So it needs to rally back through there. So just another theme in this market. And anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. I'm traveling, so I got to do this early and I got to get out of Dodge. But always we have to honor the great Steve Jobs. And I have one more thing, and that is earlier I mentioned the stocks that are leading stocks now that are struggling below their moving averages here. This is VST. I really thought this would be bought into year end, and it's not. It's being sold below the 50. So I just got to take note of this. It was on this whack day Wednesday. A wacky Wednesday, it was down 5%, sliced its 50 with volume. So this is a type of stuff that makes me more cautious and causes me to at least you know it piques my interest when these strong names, which have been strong, are now weak and below the 50. This is Intuitive Surgical, which has been a strong name all year. This is Carpenter, which has been one of the leading stocks, top performers in a top performing group this year. That's giving up the ghost. Below the 50. STRL, I just mentioned this group, top performing group. Sterling was a big reason for it. Now it's below its 50. Another one of these data center plays, this air conditioning heating stock fix. This has been a really strong stock all year, now below the 50 here. So the selling in December is a thing that you just can't ignore. And it's in all of these groups. Here's Morgan Stanley in the finance. The sector really got whacked on Wednesday, down more than 5% below the 50 here. So these are stocks that have been doing well and now really been hammered. I mentioned Novo and Lilly earlier, below the 50, and they got a lot of work to do within this base. 972 is the old high there. Yeah, just got a lot of work to do in these names. And Pulte Homes, the home builders have been smashed. All the home builders pretty much look the same here. This is a disaster. So there is some weakness in the market. I just wanted to point that out. And I also wanted to point out some of the earnings reports last week and how they responded. Accenture actually looks pretty good right there. Nike reported, nah, they talk a lot. Flat on Friday, just bleh. FedEx, once again, they talked a lot too, but at least they said they're going to sell off or spin off their trucking division anyway. This is yeah, not great reactions here for these earnings. Darden Restaurants though is one that did. This thing blew out on Thursday. It got whacked on Wednesday like everything else, right? And then reported earnings and jumped 15%, followed through on Friday with a 2.25% move there, and 188.88 is the new high there on Friday for Darden Restaurant. So nice move on earnings. CTAS. This is kind of like this is a bellwether for our economy. This is they do linens, corporate uniforms, police, fire, hotel, restaurants. So not a good response to their earnings report and guidance. It's all about the guidance. Paychecks reported last week, meh, still in a base. Lamb Weston, they guided down. Nobody's eating French fries. That's not a good move. Staying with the food group, ConAgra, whew, man, that's a tough chart to look at. My goodness, no wonder why I don't look at these stocks. Cup with handle pattern here for CarMax. They reported earnings and a nice move here. Big volume coming in. Not bad. 3.5% move for CarMax. General Mills, another food stock. Food, ooh, boy, that's a rough stock. And then Birkin, Birkenstocks, the sandal maker, they reported earnings, had a nice earnings move here. Yeah, 2% on a whack Wednesday, not bad. Still got to get over this bar here of a 62.45, but a good report for Birkenstock. You can see the accelerating sales growth 17 to 28 and earnings 12 to triple digit earnings for this is an old company. And the last one before I sign off here, Jabil. This is a electrical contracting manufacturing stock. Cup with handle pattern. On Wednesday, whack day, it was up 7%. Gave a little back on Thursday, got back into the below the low of the gap day. But all it did is pull back to its 10 and then was up 3.25% on Friday. So definitely a stock to watch. You can see the big volume here on these 2 days. And if we take a look at the weekly chart, yeah, big volume move last week of 7.5%. So that looks good. That cup with handle pattern on Jabil. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstocktracks.com. We never give up. Have a great weekend. Santa Claus is coming to town next Wednesday. You better be nice, not naughty. Be kind, extra kind now. So when Santa comes down the chimney, he's got something for you. Anyway, thank you.